Hello, my name is Naomi Finkelstein and I'm here today with Rainbow Curves to talk about our curves during yoga. So if you have ever been to a yoga class or tried some yoga poses and found that certain positions were uncomfortable or inaccessible, you couldn't do them, or you couldn't breathe when you were in them, then you're not alone. If you have a bigger body with more flesh, it can be cumbersome to kind of figure out how to get into some of the poses. Today I'm gonna go over some poses that are common in yoga. Before you move your body, you wanna try to work with the breath to help support you. So instead of breathing into the belly in certain poses, if you're finding that that's not possible, then you can try breathing into your chest. So this would stay steady and you would breathe into the chest area, expanding the rib cage and expanding the chest, as opposed to in your belly. So that's the first thing to try. The next thing to try is thinking about breathing into your back instead of into your front. So if you're constricted here, it's kind of hard to see, but you can imagine breathing and expanding your back rather than expanding your belly. So those are a couple of things that you can try before you even move. So there's a lot of options for this. Sometimes teachers will tell you that you want to keep your knees together, and the purpose for that is that it increases the stretch in your back, which is a great effect of child's pose. However, when we come down into child's pose with our knees closed, it makes it difficult to bring our head down to the floor. So if you want to keep your knees closed to increase the stretch in your back, then you can bring something up. So bring the floor up with something. You can use some sort of a cushion or a bolster. You can use a block. You can use your hands too. So I'm gonna do this with a cushion and my hands. And I can rest here very comfortably. Another piece of this is that it's important to take deep breaths in all of our yoga poses. So if you tried the closed knee variation of child's pose and you're like, no, that's not for me, the next option to try is to bring the knees wide. So you'll bring the knees wide to the edges of your mat, keeping your feet together. And you can see what happens when you come down. And if your head touches comfortably, you can stay here. You can bring your arms behind you. You can bring your arms in front of you. But if it still feels like the floor is too far away, then you bring the cushion back, or a blanket, or a block. You can figure out, try different things and see what feels best for you. So. One more thing that you can try in either variation with knees closed or knees open is to take your belly and physically lift it up so that you're creating space to fold on top of your legs. So that would look something like this. I would just kind of pull it up, lean forward, maybe bring my hand down. And then when I feel like I have the space, I bring myself down. Another pose where it can be difficult to breathe or maneuver is any sort of a twist. So I'm gonna go over a seated half spinal twist and how to accommodate for your belly in that pose. So there's a lot of different options here. Normally if you're in a class and you're going into a twist, the teacher will tell you to sit to one side with one leg tucked underneath you and to bring the other one over and across. Then they'll probably say something like, keep both your sit bones on the floor, like that. And then they're gonna say, and keep your left foot planted into the ground. It doesn't really work for us. So the first thing that you can try is to straighten this bottom leg. So instead of having it curled under you, you'll straighten it out in front of you. This will allow your top foot to come down closer to the floor. If you're here and you're finding that it's still hard to keep your sit bones down and your foot planted, that's okay. They don't have to be completely completely firmly planted on the ground. If you're comfortable here, then you can choose this option. If you're really not comfortable here and you still can't get your foot down, the third option is to bring something underneath you. So you're gonna be sitting on a cushion or a bolster or a blanket. And this will lift your hips up and create more space for the leg to come over. So the higher up you are, the more space you'll have here to get the leg across so that you can sit comfortably. If you're choosing this option and lifting your hips up, you might want to have a block handy and put it behind you to lift the floor up behind you, because you're gonna be bringing your hand behind you to the floor. So once you're in your position that feels comfortable for you for your twist, you're gonna work with the belly. So when we're in a twist, we're supposed to have our belly pressed against our thigh, and this creates some massage for the internal organs, and it's good for the digestive system. So it's good to have your belly pressed against your thigh. However, it is also imperative that we breathe in this position. So to make it more comfortable and to allow for more breathing, we're gonna do the same thing that we did with child's pose, where we're lifting our belly and kind of moving it. So you're gonna pull away, pull it in, twist your torso over, and then just let it go. Now you've already started your twist. You can hold on to your knee here with your hand, bring that back hand behind you, either to the floor or the block. So now I'm twisting even more. And then you can stay here and keep your hand here and look behind you, or you can bring your arm up and across, pushing into the knee with your arm to really get a nice twist for the spine. So the next thing we're gonna do is a forward bend, seated forward bend. So you will come and sit in the back of your mat and stretch your legs out in front of you. And this is Paschimottanasana. The classical pose is to keep the legs straight and to just bend over the legs like this. But here we have the constriction in the belly again, so we want to create some more space to help the breath, help us breathe better. So the first thing we can try is keeping the legs together, doing that same thing with our belly where we're kind of pulling it in and lifting up, and then bending while we've got it. Then when you feel like you can't really bend anymore, you let it go, and you bring your arms wherever they reach. In this pose, it's really not about how far your hands can go. A lot of people will reach for their toes and then you'll see this big curve in the back, and that's not what we want. We want to try to keep our back long, and it doesn't really matter where our hands are. So this is one option for this pose. If you're not comfortable and you can't breathe in this position, then you're going to try opening your legs apart. So I think it's really important if you're in a class that you feel confident and like you're allowed to make any accommodations that make the practice more enjoyable and comfortable for you, because it's not a competition and you're there for you. So even if you're doing something a little bit different than what your teacher is saying, you should stand proud and do what feels right. So if everybody's got their legs together, you can try bringing your legs apart. You can try doing the same thing with the belly if you like, because we've still got this contact between our thigh and our belly here. So we're gonna pull it in, lift it up, and bend over. And we can do it here. And finally, another option, the last option for this, is to also get your cushion, lifting your hips up higher, and seeing if that makes the position more comfortable. Because ultimately you want to find something that you can hold for a long time and be comfortable in. If the breathing, and this is just a reminder now for the breathing, that if we're breathing here, we want to try to breathe into the chest or into our back, rather than thinking about expanding the belly, because there's really not room for that to happen here. and that's seated forward bend. Thank you for watching. I hope you found some of those tips helpful. And just remember that your yoga practice is for you. It's supposed to feel good and it's supposed to support you. So whatever you can do to make it comfortable is the way to go. Thanks.